Hey, good morning. Real quick, I just wanted to talk DARs again with you guys. Now we've talked a lot this year about filling those out completely. You got to have your trims, your man hours correctly for invoicing purposes. But what I really needed you guys to do this year was sort of include the removals and the removal counts on those because, as you know, we have a low mileage count this year. Our goal is smaller than normal years, but our cost is going up. Now, why is that? And if you don't include those removal numbers on your DAR, then you're telling a story that your trimming is slow. You're a slow contractor and you're not doing a good job out there. So it's important that you fill out the DAR correctly. This has other benefits too. This helps us determine what kind of work is going on in the field. We get data from your DAR that helps us plan for the future. It can help us, fight legal battles when it comes to discovery. There are certain things that on there that help us identify even what's there. So the amount of trims that you have turns into trim density or tree density per mile. It can help. We actually look at cost per mile per circuit. There's all sorts of information that we get out of that. So it's important that you guys do a good job on those. And for the most part, I think you do. But removals were omitted for so long that I think it's foreign to some of you to include those. And we've done a good job in the second half of this year putting those on. So I just wanted to make it clear that I'm proud of the efforts that we've done out there. And while we might have a struggle to meet the finish line for the mileage goal, we've done a ton of good work. And I want that to be communicated to not just me, but anyone that's looking at these closeout sheets, and they can determine, hey, they did a lot of work out there and removed a bunch of stuff that was problematic. And that's how you get circuits healthy. That's what Western needs. And I need you to communicate and tell the accurate story. So I can show you real quick. I'm going to show you sort of where your DAR information goes and sort of what we use it for. That's just a real quick snippet of the closeout form. I'm going to show you sort of what it looks like. And it sort of just takes your DAR, its manual entry into that, and then sort of what we use it for. So here's a look at the closeout form. The closeout form is basically all of the data that we get from you all on the DAR. So looking at a circuit here, this is Keystone. You can see it was assigned to DuML. Each one of these week ending dates is a DAR entry. So this is the supervision for the circuit of Keystone. And it looks like we have multiple week entries here, very long circuit. All these week endings on the left are corresponding to the DARs every week. I also keep track of Jeff and Jesse's time on these circuits. Those do contribute to circuit costs. So down at the bottom, you can see the total supervision hours and the total supervision cost. Bucket work. These are the DAR entries you provide in the bucket section of the DAR. So trims, man hours for those trims, removals, removal man hours, brush man hours, customer dumps, paid dump cost, and crew cost. All this stuff is captured here. So it should look familiar. All those categories are on your DAR, so it all gets manually entered into this. Climbing crews, much of the same. So you can see the amount of time we spent over there. This is the overall big picture of the circuit. It's got multiple data points that sort of pick apart circuit performance and I guess helps us predict circuit need in the future. So it really breaks down really how many miles we trimmed, sort of associated with the cost, the tree density, and looking at cost per mile is important because basically if you look at it, it's the cost of the circuit right here divided by how many miles we trimmed, and that gives you your cost per mile. And we'd like to stay below the cost not to exceed on all circuits, but It's good to track those. It's not always possible. Now, you can see here every circuit's different. We have 70 something circuits, I think, this year. And, every one has a various, the amount of time we spent on it, and the amount of removals and all that. So the statistics tell a story at the bottom. That's why I want you to include all your removals, because it can explain why a circuit costs more in a given year. And all this information really for all these circuits goes into a wrap-up page. So this is essentially, here's all your circuits here. And red is your rollover stuff from last year into this year. And you have all your statistics here that are in your DARs that ended up getting tallied and totaled into this spreadsheet. So that way we can look at all the numbers. I have cost per mile for each circuit on here. The ones that are red are above the cost not to exceed. The ones in black are below that, 18. So here's our cost not to exceed. And then we also have the totals, like I said, for the entire year. So this is the numbers that we've been working for the entire year. Look at the removal numbers. That's very significant for maintenance. Very proud of that effort there. And that can explain a lot of why our cost is pretty high. We are still in good shape for cost not to exceed. We got like 6 weeks to go, and we have $1,000 wiggle room from the cost not to exceed. So that's good shape to be in. This is a really good number. I like I think 5% tree removal, for the year is sort of leaning aggressive. We've removed a lot of stuff this year, but that's how you improve circuit health when it comes to problematic stuff. I know we remove more up here on the top, so that keystone shows 0, but I know we removed a significant amount of trees on that circuit too. But you can see that's the amount of miles we have. All these little data points we sort of track, and we get a lot of this from your DARs and your trackers and your reporting. And this is sort of how we determine what circuits are sort of problematic, where we need more resources, what's going to take us a long time, because we do have mileage goals, and all that stuff is a consideration as well. So please do a good job on your DAR.